What's up, everybody? FANCRAFT. That is right, and it is Bo here. How's it going? I bet you're wondering what I'm doing with all of this copper surrounding me. Well, we have all band together to age and oxidize up some copper for the latest addition to the big team build. Now, that is what we are going to be working on today, specifically the Jedi Temple and a big important piece of the Jedi Temple. We're going to be doing the Jedi Council room. Yeah, that's right. Like the meeting room, where they all get in there and little Annie is in the middle and like, he's too old or whatever they is. You know what I'm talking about. But that is what we are going to be working on today, which should be very interesting. Now, if you've been watching the last couple of videos, then you know I have been, needless to say, a little nervous about the Jedi Temple and specifically kind of the overall size of the thing. Because, it's huge. It's massive. And that's okay. And, we've talked about it from different angles. Oh, my goodness gracious. Somebody is trying to extend out the Hoth biome into a district. This is zoned, this is zoned for a different district. We need to figure out who this is. I have a feeling just based off the style, this is probably Will. Okay. You know what? We can make this work. We can figure out a way to make this work. I mean, you can see where he's coming from, right? Like, all things considered, like the city limits, the district limits have never been very clearly stated. Like, I kind of saw this as the line, but yet at the same time, Jabba's palace is jutting out. And the tricky bit is really only for me personally, which is that I've been thinking about converting this back area into a pirate zone, pirate district. And so, yeah, I need to talk to Will, because if I can see his vision, right? Like, it's very clear to see his vision on what he's trying to do. He wants to make, I'm assuming, an AT-AT that's marching towards the shield generator. And that's a really cool idea. I actually really like that. Plus, it adds to kind of this just general Imperial feel, if you think about it, right? Like, you've got the TIE fighter over there, you've got his AT-ST over there, and then you'd have like an AT-AT kind of towering right there. It's a cool look that adds to the skyline, and I dig it. The trick is, like I mentioned before, I'd been kind of thinking about making this into a pirate district, but that might not be a problem. You know what I mean? Like, we can probably make it work. We can still probably make that work. Like, this would like the end of his build would have to be like the cutoff point for the Hoth biome and for really the Star Wars district as a whole. But that's okay. We can make that work, unless he'd be willing to move it right here. I don't know. I need to talk to him and see what he wants to do. All right, we'll figure that out. This is kind of a little bit of a I didn't expect to see this here, so that just threw me off a little bit, but that's okay. Now we're here to talk about this, the Jedi Temple. So I have been trying to figure out how tall the tower of the Jedi Temple should be, and you can kind of already see that I've been messing around with some scaffolding back there, and that is because we've got a very kind of tall base, if you will. Now you've got the bottom base, but then you've got kind of the bottom portion, essentially the bottom half of the Jedi Tower or the Jedi Temple, which is a pyramid. And then you've got the towers. And the towers are really what we see more often than this stuff, even though this is what we've been looking at more often than not. So getting the towers right is super important, because it's probably the most iconic part of the Jedi Temple. And if we can make this tall enough, which I think this is about the height that it needs to be, then maybe we don't have to slice off some layers to the pyramid. That's the hope, but we're about to find out for certain. And I think the right way to go about this is actually, instead of building up the tower all the way to the top, I think we actually start from the top, build out the kind of the meeting room, and then we kind of go from there. I think that's probably the way to do it. Because this way, once we've got the council room essentially built up, we can see from the bottom what it looks like up here, and then building the tower, I think will just make sense, if it makes sense. That's the real question, if it makes sense. Now, my goal is to actually have kind of an ornate floor to match, something kind of similar to what is in the films. But for right now, I'm keeping it just a little bit more simple so that we can get the overall shape of the build. And then I can kind of go back and add the decor. I love, by the way, that this is like way up in the clouds, right? Like this seems appropriate. I actually was a little nervous about building so high up and what that would do to the overall look and feel. But you think about like when they're in the council chambers, how there's always floating cars everywhere. And so the clouds kind of add to that. You know, I think that's kind of cool. Okay, good, right, yes. All right, so then we do kind of a layer, which will be the exterior. What I'm really looking forward to is when this thing is done, we can get all the crafters on for a big group stream, and we can all sit in the Jedi Council room, like in this room. It's gonna be so sweet. It's gonna be so sweet. I know it doesn't look like much right now. You know, like you gotta trust me. You know, like that's the whole thing. You gotta trust me. Oops, you gotta trust me. Yes, you got. That's the whole thing, right? You gotta trust me. I kind of know what I'm doing, I think. All right, actually, I hope I have enough pieces to actually build out the framework here. So you can kind of see the shape, right? It's kind of one of these like, looks like a Pope hat looking thing. Shout out to Doc Alien, by the way, who is like, I guess donated these rockets because they are definitely coming in handy. Okay, yes, we don't have enough copper to finish that, but at least at an angle, theoretically, that should kind of give a general sense of what we're going for, right? You kind of, it would be way better to have the whole thing built. That's okay. That's okay. It's what we got at the moment. Let's go down and let's actually get some sleep. Okay. Okay, yeah, you can see it. You can see it. That's good. That I actually was not sure if you'd be able to really like see the top from the bottom, which was kind of part of why I was thinking we needed to shave off a little bit. And who knows, in practice, we still might need to do that, but I don't know yet. I still don't know yet, but yeah, no, that's actually looking pretty good. Huh. Okay, all right, so yeah, you back up too much and you start kind of losing it. It starts not rendering, but right about here, part of this is just realms. You know what I mean? Like realms doesn't really allow you to load too terribly much in. Like even from over here, right about here is where the top starts to render in. But I do think that height looks right. You know what I mean? Like it stinks that it's not like rendering appropriately, but at the same time, I do think the height is right. Yeah, I think the height looks good. I do think we're going to have to shave off the base. I'm just not ready to make the call yet until we actually build the tower. So this is part of the reason why this is kind of driving me crazy, right? Like my mindset was we start from the bottom and we build our way up. Ooh, more copper. But if we don't yet know where the kind of the top level is, there's really no need, you know, we're just going to create more work for ourselves that we end up having to take down. So we don't necessarily want to fill this part in, which leaves this like, you know, massive area, which I guess to some extent is okay, right? Like if you fall from there, you know, there's at least a chance you could land on water. A pretty good chance, actually. At the same time, we'll just have to figure it out. We'll just have to figure it out. Okay, so I used the copper from down below, and I've been AFKing for a little while. I mean, look, copper takes a long time to age, okay? It just does. But check this out. Apparently, I've not been alone. It says hi, Bo, and YouTube from Fox. So Fox came by. Hi, Fox. Glad you came by. He's been hard at work doing all kinds of things at the Sanctum. Okay, yes. So this is going to take a minute probably to age, and that's okay because we've got some detailing. Speaking of detailing, I detailed to the floor. So yeah, I think all things considered, unless we make this larger, which we really can't based on the scale, the already massive scale that we have down there, this is kind of the space that we have to work with. And this is about as detailed as you can get with the floor, but I think it's pretty good. What we want to do is we essentially want to create a bunch of chairs, but this is where it's going to get a little tricky because we're working on a kind of a 4x4 center here, but that's, I mean, we can work with that. That's not a problem. Do kind of something like this. The nice thing is the Jedi Council, they're all a bunch of various aliens and they all have different seating requirements. So I'm not overly concerned, I don't think. Hope I have enough prismarine for this. What if we did something like, there we go. So if we do boom, 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 and then we kind of put some kind of flank on either one of these 2x, then we kind of throw down a kind of a flat one in the center. of each of them. And that kind of gives, yeah, a nice little rounded effect. I think that works. Oh, yeah. No, that looks good. That looks really good. Okay. Sweet. And no. Yeah. Okay. There we go. That's looking good. I dig it. Now, what I'd really like to do next, honestly, is build up the walls and pillars and kind of glass that will be kind of the exterior of this room. But on the one hand, obviously, we don't have enough aged copper. But even beyond that, we don't have enough copper. Like, we're supply locked on this section of the build. But that is okay because there is something else that we can do that I think will be very, very helpful indeed. And that is to lay out the parameters for the crafters to kind of help build up the tower. Here's what I'm thinking, okay? We lay down a circle on the ground on the level that I'm currently at. Now, yes, of course, we know that we may, in fact, need to kind of push things down by a couple of levels. But for right now, I think what we'll do is we will build up to the height here, a tower. Now, we may end up needing to kind of like fill it out a little bit on the base because ultimately we want it to have a little bit of a curve in, nothing major, but we don't want it to be a full-on straight line. But I think for right now, that's what we need to do, and we just build it up as kind of a basic tower, and then we detail it on the back end, kind of like we did with the rest of the pyramid. I think that's what we got to do. So let's lay that out for the crafters, and then we'll update the jib board with the jib of building up to the meeting room. Yeah, something like that. Okay, that's pretty good. It's hard to tell. Actually, it's really hard to tell. Everything with this build is so hard to tell, mostly because it does take a minute for it to load in, and depending on where you are, you only really get a small portion of it. This is a tough build for Realms. We've talked about this. Now, as you can see, I have built out the basic outline, and I even did the various circles as it gets smaller up to the top to give that curved shape. Now, down here, I intend to do something similar with the smaller towers. They don't go up as high as the big one, and they're also not nearly as like wide. You know what I mean? Like basically what I'm doing is I'm using kind of the very last circle, this one right here at the top, as the base for these, and then they'll get a little bit thinner too as they go in and curve in. There won't be as much curvature, I don't think, especially near the top, but we will see how it all turns out. Now, the situation we have found ourselves in, though, is we are now supply locked on multiple levels. We're supply locked on copper. I have still been working to age the copper up here. But then now we are also very supply locked on end bricks. I've got a few more that I'm going to use to kind of mock up some of these, the 4 kind of smaller towers, and they'll be great. But beyond that, we're done. We've used up all of our supplies. So we got to update this jib board. All right, there we go. We have now added the end bricks back to the gathering section, and then for the building section, we have fill in central tower walls up towards Jedi Council, end brick. I hope this is clear. I'll put it in Discord just in case, but this will hopefully give the crafters a little bit of an insight as to what the jib is that needs to be done at the Jedi Tower, or rather at the Jedi temple. And the funny thing is, like I said, like we've done all this work, and yet you don't see it until you're right here. And even here, there we go. Now you actually see it. So it's very possible. Hang on. I always take the Tolkien Town, path to get to the, Star Wars land, and it makes sense. It's going to be interesting because you can actually see the outline of the Jedi Temple right here. So when this is off of Realms and we've just got it downloaded, and so our range is much taller, you'll be able to see it towering over there. But same is true of the Avengers Tower theoretically over that way. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to, after we finish the Jedi Temple build, getting the next round of downloads from Will so that we can actually see what it is that we're working with here, with an updated Central City. But okay, so we're going through here. Okay, great. Walking through Tolkien Town. Got our little hobbit holes. It's looking very nice. Pass through Gandalf's little hut here. We come around, and we're now in Star Wars. We go underneath the Ewok tree, and okay, you kind of see it. Well, I mean, the reality is they'll have these other 2 towers that'll be coming up right here too, and they're going to be a little bit closer, so they'll be in range. But yeah, in order to see the full tower load in, we have to be about here. And even then, we don't necessarily see the very tip. But that won't necessarily matter because I guess once the walls are built up, you wouldn't even see that. You really have to be on the platform. My goodness. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. But we've done some things. We've made some solid progress here, or at least to the extent that we're able to with the current supplies that we have. Now, you may have noticed this little line of wool right here and wondered what that may be. Well, that might have something to do with the next district, or one of multiple districts that we'll be announcing after the Jedi Temple is built up. But I think I'm going to save that possibly for next week, because there's actually a little bit of work we need to do this week outside of FANCRAFT. That's right. We're going to be leaving Earth 4 here to do the job of participating as part of the Minecraft community and voting for the latest mob. Because as I understand it, we actually go to another realm to vote. Let's check this out. Let's see what happens. Oh, hello. I'm here. I'm in the voting world. Okay. You received a character creator item. Check it out in the dressing room after you leave the event. Okay, cool. I got a little pink cape. That's fun. Mob vote.
Aha! I see you made it. I'm Tiny Jens, and I'd like to welcome you to the 2023 Mob Vote event. You can vote for your favorite mob, play minigames, and explore the islands. The show will be starting soon, and I'm still trying to find my way there, but Tiny Agnes, Tiny Wu, and Tiny Lydia will help you. Make sure to cast your vote for the mob that you want to join Minecraft.
Okay. Oh, this is great. Okay, this is all information from, all right, yes. This is all information from the announcement video with the mobs, so that's kind of cool. Okay, this is way better, honestly, than just like a website. In the past, they just had the website. You would go to the website, you'd log in, and you would cast your vote, but this is much more immersive. Even with like frequently asked questions, having kind of the characters that you can kind of come up and talk to, that's pretty sweet. What do we do with these dudes? So these are just items I can buy in here, apparently. All right, so we got our mobs, right? We got the crab, we got the penguin, and we got the armadillo. Now, admittedly, like, you know, crabs are cool. You know, they're cool. Blue crabs in particular. I remember as a kid going around down to the coast, and at night, as the sun's going down and after dark, we hit them with the spotlights. You know, we'd do the spotlights on the crab. We'd try to catch them in a net. And we'd have a big bucket of crabs and everything else, and then we'd toss them at the end of the night and let them go back home into the ocean. And so I think, you know, crabs are cool. And I do find myself very often while I'm building, getting to a place where I could just barely reach what I want to, you know, where I want to place a block. But I just don't know enough about how that mechanic is supposed to work. And I don't know. I'd just kind of rather them increase the range, honestly, sometime of letting us put blocks places without needing an extra item to do it. So I'm probably not going to be casting my vote for the crab. Now, the penguin's kind of cool. It's very cool looking. I'm not going to lie. A little Imperial penguin, these guys are cool looking dudes. However, the armadillo. Okay, now this dude right here can protect wolves. Now, I personally have never really bothered too heavily with wolves because every single time I get one, it keeps dying. Like, I have a hard time keeping wolves alive. And so the concept of armor for my wolf is kind of where it's at. So I'm going armadillo. You received some character creator items. Okay, great. Oh, this is cool. I still get some stuff. I get some swag for having just voted. That's great. Very cool. So there you go. There you have it. I got my vote in. That is going to do it for me for this week. Don't worry. When I come back next time, I will be back on Earth 4. And we'll be working on the Jedi Temple, hopefully, and maybe even revealing some things about the new districts that we're going to be bringing to FANCRAFT. So be sure to stay tuned and look for that. That is, again, going to do it for us for this week. But until next time, goodbye.